Let's get into it.
I have. Before we get, I know you got something, but I have like I guess a moment of atoning for my sins, right? So I mean, I think we all curse around our kids. They slip. I mean, probably not intentionally, but they come out.
Right.
I don't know how many of us actually curse at our kids. Probably none of us.
No.
With the exception of me now.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So it was last week. I was in the kitchen. We were having a conversation about something. It was my wife, my oldest daughter, myself. And I was like chill. Like my mood was good. Like I wasn't like, because sometimes when you're like stressed out, shit happens and you're like, fuck, whatever. You blame it on that. But
it's when your mood is good that you get most pissed. Because you're like, you get mad at someone for ruining that great mood.
Right.
That's what happens to me often.
But it wasn't that. It wasn't that. So the way it worked out, so I was talking about something and I cursed. I think I said shit. I think that was the curse word. Not at anyone, just like describing something or what have you. And then my daughter, I felt like she attacked me. But when my logical mind set in, it wasn't that way at all. But in the moment, she's like, Dad, don't curse. You shouldn't be cursing. And that triggered me to like pounce on her. Like, yo,
you're a bully, bro.
Not physically, but like you were telling me what to do. Like I felt like you thought you were my mom. Like that's the way I interpreted it, right? So I got hot and snapped in a second. And I was like, who the fuck do you think you are?
Damn, really?
Damn, dude.
Yo, as soon as I said that last syllable and closed my mouth, my heart dropped. I felt like complete shit. And I know my wife looked at me like, but my wife
is wrong with you?
Yeah. But my wife is cool in a sense, like she don't play that shit. But I think she knows me well enough that she knows that's not me, that's not my intention. And she almost, without saying a word, she almost gave me the room to fix it, right? Without like jumping on me or whatever. So as soon as I closed my mouth, I like looked at her, looked at my daughter, left the kitchen. I sat down and just like collect myself, because like the next thing that comes out of my mouth, I don't want it to be worse. And I just sat there for like a couple minutes, thought about it, and immediately I was like, yo, you fucked up. Like, get up, go apologize, explain yourself. And I did. And that shit it wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. Like a couple years back, probably wouldn't have done it. I probably would just let it fly and pretend like, everything was cool. But I realized like, A, that wasn't fair. My daughter was all in the right. Secondly, when I think about it, there was no attack. Her tone wasn't anything crazy. Like it wasn't.
Yeah, you overreacted.
Definitely took it as something that it wasn't. And then so I went to her and I apologized.
Well, hold up. Was she upset after you had said that? Did she care?
Yeah, I could tell she was.
But she held it together, like not to show you.
Right. But I could like, we're not that great about we wear our emotions on our sleeves in my household. So I think for her, it was like, shit, maybe he thinks I disrespected him. Let me shut up. I'm pissed, but I don't want to make it worse. So she kind of held it in, but you can tell she was upset. And so to make her understand that it wasn't her, I had to quickly like address it. And so I did. And I felt like the monkey came off of her back right away. We haven't talked about it since, but I know that made like a big difference, because in the past, never done it quite like that, but other things that I might have done in the wrong, been in the wrong about, I wouldn't have atoned for it so quickly.
Did your wife say anything to you after the fact later on?
You know what? We haven't even talked about it. I don't even know if she knows, because she wasn't in the kitchen when my daughter and I had the conversation.
Oh, okay. Got it.
So, and then after that, I went on a trip and I'm just getting back. So we haven't really had a chance to like kind of do a follow.
Yeah, right.
But I've been holding that in like, I need to talk to the guys, because this is some foul shit that I did.
Yeah, I think you're a dick.
Oh, no, we know that.
No, that was good that you dealt with it quickly.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, like, I'm not happy about what I did, but I felt like I grew. that day. You know what I mean? So,
but just think, you know what the crazy shit is, you know, there are parents who talk to their kids like that and worse all the damn time. And you got to wonder what the effect has on them, those kids, as they become adults.
I mean, it can't be good, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you grow up, somebody telling you ain't shit or calling
Right.
you all sorts of names, like
Yeah, it's
somewhere in your head, you
it's
believe
verbal
it.
abuse. It's
Yeah.
emotional. It's verbal abuse. Yeah, it's a form of abuse.
Absolutely.
Well,
Anyway,
good on
so-
you, Manny. Good on you.
Oh, thank
We
you.
had some tears here last night.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
man, what happened, Kay?
You cried?
No.
This guy cried? Come on, bro.
Buddhists don't cry?
Nah, bro. He wouldn't even cry if he saw a baby rabbit being kicked around by a wolf. I don't know.
No, we were sitting down for dinner, and my son was just kind of telling recounting, like saying like, oh, these kids, this kid did this today, and you know, he did something that was kind of sus, and like came into my personal space, and not like a bully or anything, but just, you know, invading the space, right?
Yeah.
And so he told a couple different stories like that, and then, you know, and so my wife and I are like, well, what did you do about it? And he said, you know, nothing. I just let it, you know, it wasn't a big deal. And then we got into this, but then we said, okay, well, how'd you feel about it afterwards? He goes, I wish I would have said something to stop it. And so it turned into a pretty long conversation, pretty kind of forceful conversation of like, yo, we keep hearing this. I wish I would have said something. And we're trying to explain to him the importance of, especially at this age now, and especially with young boys, like just getting tested, testing boundaries. The longer you let that shit ride, even if you don't think it's a big deal now, you're going to become the person, instead of being the person that like speaks up and shuts it down quick. Like maybe you're the person that's like, that guy can't take a joke. You'd rather be that guy than the guy who you can just
Who's
go
the
do
punching
anything
bag?
to.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And we're like, yo, dude, like, you know how to defend yourself. You're a strong dude. Like all these things, you know, are you scared of these kids? He's like, no, I'm not scared. I'm like, well, you're scared of something. What are you scared of? Are you scared of confrontation? Do you just not like it? You know? And so he started breaking down a little bit. He's like, yeah, I don't like to, you know, it's like, he's like, I don't like to make people upset or mad, or, you know, he's like, and really what it boils down to is, and this is one of the great things about him, is that he's kind. He's a kind heart, and things roll off, and he doesn't, you know, he doesn't make things a big deal. But what we're trying to explain to him is that, and I may have said this phrase before on here to you guys, is that, you know, you have to be a lion in order to be the lamb that you are inside, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the outside. Like you can't, you know, if you want to be kind and gentle and, you know, just be your true self, you be that with those folks and within your circle that you trust. But not everyone has the privilege to enter that realm that you have. So you got to be the lion to protect yourself, because no one else is going to do it. So he was crying and just like, you know, confused, like, why can't I just be myself? Like, why does this have to be like this? And, you know, that kind of thing. So kind of an ongoing conversation with him to try to just, because he's not a punk,
Right.
but he just doesn't want to, you know, it's just not in his nature to attack like that.
And you know what I think unfortunately is gonna happen, that he's gonna learn a lot of these things on his own, but it's gonna be outside of the purview of you guys, because you know how it is growing up,
Yeah.
especially dealing with whether it's bullies or any kind of like kids in the street or in school or whatever. At a point, you stop telling your parents this stuff. This stuff is not in the
Right.
realm of discussion with your parents, and then you kind of like deal with it on your own. I mean, maybe that's different, and hopefully it is for him, because maybe for us not having our fathers around, or the whole household around, maybe that's the reason why we didn't talk about it much. But I suspect that most kids, they kind of have that rule where they kind of keep it to themselves and their friends, and they don't really want to tell people, teachers and parents, and then he'll kind of, with the guidance that you've given him up to this point, and that's the importance of it, is, and what you're telling him, regardless of what you know and what you don't know, he's gonna figure it out on his own.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you always just hope it doesn't have to be the hard way.
Right.
But yeah, we're just having to kind of continue to have the conversation with him to be like, yo, dude, like the worst that could happen is you get into a fight or whatever, and you know how to punch someone, right? So like you're going to get punched and you hopefully will land upon, but it doesn't even need to go there. You have a loud voice, you have a strong voice, you can shut people down just by barking if you need to. But he's got to learn how to put it into motion. But it's going to be all up to him, and we can only encourage him to do that so much. But he'll need to do it on his own.
I feel like we're dealing with the same type of stuff in the same time, because I know we talked about it once before on here, at least once. My son is the same. My son is super kind. Like any kid, like has his dickish tendencies, like, joking around and that kind of thing, but nothing ever harmful or really disrespectful. Just like kids,
Yeah, the kid joke around versus being malicious.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've seen cases where he's getting taken advantage of, and I know it's not comfortable for him. And then I question him, like I get pretty upset about it, because I'm like, if you're okay allowing anybody to like roughhouse with you when you don't like that, like you gotta be okay letting people know what the boundaries are, or else you're always going to be uncomfortable, and one day that uncomfortability is going to become like an altercation.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to keep getting mowed down and be a fucking doormat, and people are going to catch on to that, and there's going to be a long line of motherfuckers just like testing you because it's easy. And I know if push came to shove, he'll defend himself, but like he tries to be Gandhi about this stuff. Like he doesn't really want to get into anything, so he kind of just lets it roll.
Yeah, I think maybe at this age, like also just trying to find the nuance of it, because my son said something. He's like, "Well, I don't want to walk around like I'm a tough guy," or I'm like, "You don't have to."
Wow.
Like that doesn't, like you absolutely don't have, just because you're like using lion in this as an example. Just because you're being a lion doesn't mean you're being a tough guy. All you're doing is shutting shit down when the time when need be, but you're not walking around looking for trouble, asking for trouble, or giving off a vibe that you're a tough guy.
Yeah
I feel like that's definitely a thing that natural, it'll naturally, he'll grow into that, because also part of it might be a kid knowing that they're growing up and being in that awkward age, saying, I don't want to grow up.
Right.
I want to be a kid. It's not necessarily that he doesn't want to be a tough guy. He's like, that seems like some grown-up shit to deal with.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to have to put on, because he probably sees grown-ups have to put on these masks when they're working, where they do this, when they do that.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, I just want to be a kid, like he's trying to keep it simple.
Yeah. Nah, that's a great point, because I did tell him, like, look, it's almost like you have to look at this as almost a game, or you're acting in some instances. Like, if that's an easier way for you to look at it, just, laugh to yourself inside, think about like, all right, I'm going to be this character for a second to shut things down when I need to,
Actually a good point. That might be an easy way to describe it for my son too.
It's almost like being a telemarketer. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, but
Kay, telemarketer.
Just the idea of like, just like if you're a really good telemarketer, at least when I did a stint doing telemarketing back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way that I had to just get through it without like wanting to shoot myself at the end of the day was just all of a sudden going in there and pretending, making a game of it.
Right.
And like all of a sudden I become this, I'm just pretending to be this telemarketing person. And next thing you know, I'm like killing the whole thing. And then
He's
I was
getting
like,
plaques at the office.
yeah, I'm like, oh shit, this
They're
is
doing rallies for
crazy.
K.
Wait, hold on. So what would you sell? Can you walk us through it? Like,
Vinyl siding.
Okay, let's go. Ready? I'm the customer. You do it. Mock it out.
Well, I kind of feel bad about it now looking back, because really they were like they would give you these lists and it was all like older folks, and they would give you this stuff of like, listen, here's the script of when you get them on the phone, and then it's like, oh, I'd hate for your husband to pull out that rickety old ladder, and then he falls and he breaks his leg or he breaks his back. Why don't we send someone out there, right away, so we can, you do this whole thing. And so they know how to prey on like the lists that they're getting.
Damn.
Wow. Yeah, it's fucked up. Anyway, sorry.
Wait, I had a
look at somewhere else.
Before we switch topics, your son did martial arts, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's another thing we tell him. We're like, yo, dude, you know how to throw a punch. You know how to knock someone out if you needed to.
Yeah. But all right. So was there a lot of physical contact when he was doing martial arts?
Not a ton on the karate side, but he was doing jujitsu as well. And then we put him in jujitsu specifically so he would understand, because, as an only child, you're not like, not that every brother, sister, brother, roughhouses and stuff, but there's probably more likelihood for fights and shit and wrestling and all that kind of stuff to pop off. So yeah, we put him in jujitsu so that he could get a dose of contact.
Did he compete, or was it just like training?
Well, the training was group training, so they were competing throughout every class, and yeah, they're going at it every class.
Because I'm taking my son literally today to like a what is that called, like a tryout sort of.
Yeah, I mean, these kids were a trip. We walked down into the dojo and for like the first for the trial session, as soon as we sat down, they encircled us and they were looking at him like wondering, who he is, what's he here
Fresh
for?
meat.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
But he was cool with it. Like, he didn't feel, your son was like,
he was wondering like what the hell's going on, but then he fought him that day.
But I'm saying, like, he didn't go just one time. He was going pretty consistently.
Yeah, he was going pretty, but it was weird. It was not one of those things that it was on and off. He was consistent, but then there were weeks where he was like really into it, especially if he was elevating on his belts and things. And then there would be weeks where it was just like, I don't really feel like going to this. It was hot and cold with it.
Okay. It's funny you bring that up, because last night, you remember how my daughter has been the one that's kind of bullied my son a little bit.
Yeah.
And now I've mentioned he's been kind of like fighting back, and it's kind of coming to bite my daughter in the ass that she was like that with him.
He's like, yo, I remember all this shit.
And so and he's getting stronger, and so he was playing with one of her things last night before bed, like one of her toys. It was like a piece of material, actually. And my daughter just like went and like pretended like she was giving him a hug, and then took it from him, right? And then he was like, no, sissy. And he runs up and he like gets her he bear hugs her, and he like throws her to the ground like some jiu-jitsu stuff.
Damn, okay.
And me and my girl look at each other and we just go, okay, we just watch it. We just wanted to watch it unfold, because my daughter was kind of like, she wasn't getting necessarily mad. She was annoyed, but she wasn't mad. And she was kind of laughing a little bit. And he was kind of laughing, but he was still trying to get the thing. And then she would get up, and again, he would just attack her because he was trying to get it. He was like, no, bomb. And then boom, take it to the ground again. And he's like grappling with her, and she's like trying to keep the thing away from him, and they're grappling. And he's like, no, sissy, no. And we're just like, yeah. Like, I feel like I was in Fight Club. Like, yeah, I get it.
That you might want to put him in jiu-jitsu early.
Oh, no, he's definitely ready for martial arts, because, watching her. But now if I put up my two hands like this, he goes, hiya, and he like hits it really hard, and he'll keep doing it for as long. And I go, you ready for karate? He's like, yes, yes, yes. And I want my daughter to go back because she stopped.
That might inspire her, actually. If he jumps on and he's excited, she might.
Well, I'm gonna tell him, be like, look, you don't want him learning karate, and you don't keep going, because then it's a problem for you.
Damn, son.
That's what I'm gonna tell her, to try to get her to go back. But yeah, that was cool to see them kind of like play fighting, and it didn't get too serious. But
That's good.
Rough house,
That's cool. That's healthy.
So yeah, Manny, we're gonna have to just gonna have to keep helping these young men out here figure it out.
Yeah, man. It'll get better. It's just, man, it's so frustrating. Like, and I look at myself, right? When I look at my son, I'm like, yo, that was me, bro. Like, I'm not a conflict person. Like, if you push me, I'm not a pussy. Like, I'm gonna fight back, but it takes a lot. Like, I got into a couple fights in my life, and in both cases, I was just playing defense. Like, I wasn't trying to strike. I wasn't gonna let you do shit to me. But
did she always whoop your ass?
Yeah. Well, her mom usually came in and fucking dick. No, but I did like 6 weeks of Taekwondo, and all I remember was like the blocks. Oh, but I was like, ha, 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 ha.
The minute you start fighting for real, a lot of that goes out of the window.
Oh, I don't know. It came back quick. And then I restrain your ass, and I'll put you in a headlock, and I'm like, yo, you good? Or you want me to choke you out? And then shit is usually over.
On some pivoting a little bit, but kind of in the same vein, this Nashville thing that happened, this school shooting. I saw a statistic. I don't know how true it is. I think it was that dude Sean King that posted the statistic, and he was saying that for the first time, gun fatalities is the biggest reason for kids to die in the U.S. It surpassed any other reason for children's death. And yo, man, it's just like, it's crazy because, here it's a 28-year-old trans woman. Does that mean it's a woman or it was a man? I lose track.
I still don't know the details. I think, but
she became a he.
She became a he?
From what I read.
Okay, that's where I get confused. Okay, so but it's a female, right? So a woman, and which is not common in these situations, a 28-year-old, but going back to a elementary school, and this is a private school, which my fiance was reminding me. She's like, that I've mentioned maybe a private school would be safer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like, percentage wise, you're gonna be safer in a
that school that person went to.
No, I get that part, but 28 years old, separated from being in elementary school, like,
I know.
Why not go back to your high school to beef? Like, what little kid are you beefing with? Like, what like, what? Like, how is, like, I don't know, man. How do you guys, being, that your kids, and even mine with being in the preschool that they're in, like, how do you not live every day in fear that something like this could happen?
I mean, I'm always concerned, but, and again, like, call me optimistic.
It's crazy optimist.
Call me an optimist, but if I can't control it, I try not to worry about it.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
And I'm my kids' school, both of their schools, I'm confident that the measures are in place to try to avoid, like,
what measure? This person shot through the doors.
I know, but
the alarms went off.
They got security detail. They got cops on the campus. The doors are heavy, and like, you can't just simply open the door. Like, these are like, so I'm comfortable with the setup, and that's kind of where I hang my hat. I'm like, yo.
Yeah, I guess I don't think about it too much. I also know anything could happen at any time. So I'm anywhere. So I guess I just choose to live not feeling too stressed about it, and just already knowing that shit could pop off anywhere, anytime. Although, like, when we were in LA, there was a time or two at his school where there was shooting in the area, and so they had the campus on lockdown. Not on, it wasn't on campus, but within the, even if it's in the neighborhood or the area, if there's a shots, then they'll lock the whole school down. So that was, yeah, I remember that being kind of funky.
Well, peep this. So just this week, my son stayed home because he's been sick. And so my girl took him during the day to run some errands in the neighborhood. And all of a sudden I'm scrolling through social media, and there's like, the pages that cover everything local. And it says, in Kendall, police presence, blocking this avenue and this avenue, which is right down the street from where I live. Not down the street, but like not too far from where I live, actually right by my mom's crib. And I start, texting my girl, like, yo, where you guys at? Making sure everything's good, because they blocked off a whole area. And then I read more, and there was apparently an active shooter situation. And then finally I get a hold of her. She's close by, but she's not in that area. But she heard about it wherever she was at. She was like at Chick-fil-A, and they were talking about something going on down the street. But it's crazy because the situation happened at the center where we gave birth to my son.
Mm.
At the building. It was the medical building. There was a person that was armed went in there, and there was an altercation, and that caused for all the chaos.
Was it premeditated, or just something popped up?
Apparently nothing ended up happening. Like, I don't know. I haven't heard any more information. Once I found out that,
it was good.
The girl's good and they came home, then I didn't care to follow up on that news, But yeah, but I'm just saying how close to home that it's literally in the place where my son was born is where this situation was happening. The other thing that's crazy is that they just passed this crazy law in Florida. I don't know if you guys have seen this, where you can carry a gun concealed without a license now.
What?
You would need the license to carry it out in the open, but concealed, anybody can buy a gun, get a gun, and carry it concealed.
Really?
It went through both, the both houses of whatever in our state legislation, and it passed with flying colors.
Well, hold on, you're surprised because?
So wait,
because I think anybody with
you can carry concealed with a license.
Without?
No, you can. Like, I have a license to carry concealed, and that's a big deal to have that license. Right. Well, apparently now you can carry concealed without the license. You don't need a license.
Wow.
So you do need a license to own a gun, right? In Florida?
No.
You don't even.
Not at all. No. Oh, no way, dude.
No gun permit, nothing.
No. The permit was for you to carry it concealed.
Nuts, dude.
Now the problem is you can't carry it out in the open. I'm like, honestly, bro, if everybody's gonna carry a concealed weapon, I'd rather see it in the open than be it concealed. Like, show me your gun on the side of your belt,
That's nuts, dude.
And maybe it's just news, right? But I feel like I keep hearing more and more stuff about Florida and guns, like, every week. There was like an execution style shooting maybe a week or two ago in South Beach.
Yeah, but that was the Spring Breakers. Yeah, that was nuts. No, there was a couple. They had to do a state of emergency. But besides that, there's been people having shootouts in the neighborhoods, and this is not just in the poor or hood areas. This is like everywhere, all over Miami. Like, there was another one where there was a guy with an assault rifle. Like, a whole shootout happened in a neighborhood. There's road rage happening all the time. They even had one where it was a cop that was off duty that, like, shot through his car at a car because they threw a water bottle at his car. And he shot through his car at them.
Yeah.
God.
Feel bad for these kids, man.
That's what I'm trying to say, is when you see all this stuff happening, yeah, of course, you're like, oh, life is not that crazy. Oh, you're just getting all this news and it's all.
Nah, it's pretty crazy.
But it's pretty fucking nuts, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's pretty nuts. I don't know, man.
You just can't
definitely nuts when you're a parent.
I mean, regardless, or like they say in Florida, irregardless.
And again, to think about, like going back to the Nashville shooting, to think about those little kids. Like I don't know, bro. I guess I'm kind of crazy, but I feel like I see, like I'm thinking of this little innocent kid and a bullet hitting them, and they go to school happy little kids, and someone comes in there and just ends it.
Yo, that will never make sense to me. I don't care how you could
Kill
be
yourself, bro. Just kill, or you know what? Go to the fucking go to a police station, or go to a trap house and go and shoot and unload all your stress in life. Let it be someone that could shoot back. Not no fucking kids. You
Yeah.
On that note, I gotta go make some school missions. We're talking about it.
All right, bros. Later.
Peace.